Good afternoon. Welcome once again to the Gain Line here on Wales Online. The Wales team announcement is just 24 hours away, so it's time for a good old-fashioned selection debate. Here to do that are Andy Howell and Ben James, and as always we want to hear from you, so please do send us your comments, questions and opinions. Let us know who you think should be named in the team to face Scotland. Chaps, good to see you both. We've asked you before the show to pick your starting 15s for the game on the weekend, and we'll come into some of the head-to-head debates shortly. But Andy, let's start with your team, which hopefully we can get up on the screen now. 6 changes from the team that played against England. You've gone for talk us through why you think this is the team.
Well, because Wales need to finish the Six Nations with a big performance, and this is a team that's got a bit slight experimentation in it, plus a solid spine, and they got a tough job on their hands. They're facing Scotland. Scotland can still win the championship, beat France last weekend, so it's not going to be an easy day. So I've made some my changes. I've moved Liam Williams to fullback, bringing Lewis Zammit on the wing for his debut. Would pair Owen Watkins fit again in the centre with Nick Tompkins. Let's have a look at that combination. Experience and class of Rhys Webb at scrum half. Give Will John a go at tight head prop, because Wales have got to start locking that scrum out. Will Rowlands in for the injured Jake Ball at lock. He did well off the bench recently, and then bring it to Lupi Faletau back at number 8.
Okay, Ben, slightly less changes for you. No, you're not as radical as Andy, which is
a compliment, I think.
A compliment, yeah, absolutely. But another strong team. And of course, these teams are based on the latest information in terms of injuries and fitness. We were told yesterday that apart from Jake Ball, everyone is okay. That remains to be seen probably when we get to tomorrow's announcement. But talk us through briefly your team.
Indeed. First of all, I don't like homework, so I didn't appreciate this task of being asked to pick a team. But yeah, as you said, all players are assumed to be fit, according to Neil Jenkins yesterday. So I'd stick with Dylan Lewis. I know the scrum has had a few issues at key moments, but I think it's been a big learning curve for him, and I don't see any point in throwing in someone like Will John. I'll get on to the reasons why in a little bit. And then the other 2 changes, obviously Will Rowlands, like Andy said, Jake Ball's out, and I think he's the next cab off the rank, and I'd bring Faletau back into the back row. And then, as you can see, I've kept the back line the same, which I'm sure I'll get a bit of stick for in the coming minutes, but I've got my reasons for doing that.
Okay, let's talk about some of these head-to-head debates then. In terms of the back 3 in the back line, Andy, you dropped Lee Halfpenny. Is that just because you want to see Lewis Zammit in the side, or do you think Halfpenny's been below par?
I think Halfpenny started the championship well, but I think he has been below par the last couple of games. Defence is such a big part of his game under the eyeball, and he hasn't been so solid under that since dropping that one against France, which the French scored from. And also his tactical kicking in the past has been very good, but it's been a bit off key the last couple of games. The Welsh kicking game has been poor overall this championship, and they used to put so much store on that under Warren Gatland. I think he's kicked long and loose, and it's given the opposition a chance to do something with the ball back. And also I think Wales need to counter-attack more from the back, and Liam Williams is the man to do that with his jinking feet.
Ben, in terms of Liam Williams, who you've got on the wing again, we went through all this a couple of years back, didn't we? Where does Liam Williams play? And everyone pretty much decided he's Wales' best fullback. That's where he should play. So why have you not shunt him out onto the wing?
I was tempted to put him at fullback, and I really wanted to put him at fullback, but then the question is who goes onto the wing. For me, Johnny McNichol probably hasn't grabbed the opportunity as well as he could. I think he's played he's played a part in all 4 games, I believe, either off the bench or starting, and he's probably lost ground while George North has maybe gained ground in the last couple of games. And then you look at Rhys Zammit. Was he 19, uncapped? I know it's Scotland, but they're coming into this off. They've beaten France. They're confident. Wales don't want to lose 4 matches in a Six Nations. The first time since 2007. I don't know whether this is the environment.
Why is that always mentioned with Rhys Zammit? Why is he more of a risk than picking somebody like Will Rowlands, who's in your team?
I think Will Rowlands is very much. You look at the second options. Adam Beard seems to have next to no credit with Wales at the minute. I don't know why he's fallen off a cliff. Just that doesn't seem to be an option at the minute. Corey Hill's fitness. Aaron Shingler, I guess, could feature, and that is feasible. He almost certainly could feature in the second row, but he's not a second row, so it's necessity that Will Rowlands is largely playing there. I don't think Pivac there's no necessity to pick Reece Zammit, and
Yeah, but Ben, when you
for me, I'd put him on the bench.
When you answer John's question,
Is
it just age? Is that the reason you won't pick him? It's just on age grounds.
I think you've got to be careful when you're dealing with young players. So I'd give him a bit. What do you mean, why?
Why? Because he's a really good player. Gareth Edwards, he started at 18. George North started at 18. Lee Halfpenny started at 19. And Great Lewis Jones at 18. If you're a really good player,
I'm sure
age is irrelevant, isn't it?
I'm sure if you look on social media now, there are people saying Sam Costello should be on the bench on Saturday after one good performance for the under-20s.
Hang on,
in this country especially, we tend to build up young players, and then, you know, in 4 years, we're wondering why Sam Davis hasn't kicked on.
It's because he
had a lot of hype at a young age when he first broke into the Wales squad, and then, you know, here he is 4 years later being talked about by the Wales camp as though he's pretty much past it. That's the problem.
Based on your premise, say you never pick a new player.
No, you do, but you bring them through, you know, slowly. You don't just say, oh.
Why'd you bring them through slowly if they got outstanding ability? And this bloke is turning it on week in, week out in the Gala Premiership, which some people would say is the top club competition in the world.
I feel like I'm being asked to explain some premise that's like widely known by coaches.
Okay, go on, we can move on with it. A comment there from John saying he wouldn't change the team at all. He says they just need to get the tactics right, which is probably another matter altogether. And the centres then, Owen Watkin, Andy, you want to see Owen Watkin come in?
Yes, I do, because I'm looking at the next World Cup and looking for there. That's part of the reason for picking Reece Zammit as well, because I don't want to go in with Ben's team of blokes about 40 years of age, you know, unless I want to look at some youngsters. Hadley Parks, let's face facts, he's 33, he's unlikely to make the next World Cup. Owen Watkin is a really good player, a reliable player, excellent defender, and I'm looking towards the future year because, of course, there's long-term about Jonathan Davis. Would he be around for the next World Cup? His age. Tompkins and Owen Watkin could be Wales's World Cup partnership, and they can both play inside and outside centre, and I think that tactically could be good against Scotland because they can switch positions, and that will confuse the defence, make it harder to mark them up. Let's have a look at them.
Yeah.
Right, okay. I got to defend myself again now.
No, you've gone for the same centre partnership, a continuation with Hadley Parks.
Yeah, look, moving forward, Hadley Parks is not going to be Wales' centre come 2023 World Cup. I think we need to find a playmaker who can play 12. The problem is there aren't many in Wales. Owen Williams is out injured. Jared Evans could do a job there, but he doesn't get game time at 12 for obvious reasons at the Blues. For me, though, I don't see why you're just bringing Owen Watkin for this one game, you know. I know our colleague Matt Southcome's yet to be convinced by him at test level. I'm largely the same. I'm not, you know, I think he's done well off the bench. I'm not convinced he's a starter. And it's this strange thing where his reputation has almost grown in his absence.
Off on the way, yeah.
You know, it's when he's not available that people have pined for him. But I don't see why you just throw him in now. He's not the answer. So.
In your opinion, some people would disagree with you.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with you, by the way.
All I can do is speak in my opinion. That's what I do.
You know, it's time he started taking some responsibility, and this is the ideal opportunity to give him that chance. Wales cannot win the title.
Okay, finally in the back line then, scrum half, you've gone for different scrum halves. You stuck with Thomas Williams. And you want to see Rhys Webb, the general, back in there at number 9. Why?
For me, this is largely just a continuation of the jersey, because that's the one thing I think the scrum half jersey has lacked in this tournament is a bit of consistency. You know, Gareth Davis has been out of the squad, Webb's been out of the squad, Thomas Williams has been in and out of the starting 15. I just think let's just give Thomas another chance to sort of, because under Gatland, you used to, you know, any time a player had a bad game, you tended to see, you know, George North, you know, how many times did he have a bad game or even another bad game, and then he was given that chance to sort of to show himself, and we haven't seen that. Thomas had a bad game in Dublin, right, he's dropped for the next game. Yeah. Gareth Davis doesn't have a great game, okay, Thomas is back in. I just think players need to be given a chance to respond. You know, I know you're going to make very good arguments for Rhys Webb for what he did off the bench, and it's hard to argue with that. For me, I just think Thomas deserves another chance.
Ben, I can actually see your point. No,
how does picking Rhys Webb continue your argument of let's look ahead to the World Cup? Surely Thomas Williams is going to be the World Cup scrum half. Aren't you contradicting yourself?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not, because you still got a strong spine to your team, and your spine is your hooker, one of the locks, your number 8, half backs and full back. So my spine is very strong. So I'm building the experiment around the spine. So Thomas Williams, unfortunately, I'm a huge fan of Thomas Williams.
Yeah.
Hope he's still the future, but I don't think you can pick him against Scotland as well on form, because I don't think he's played well as Six Nations. I think him and Gareth Davis have actually regressed since the World Cup, and let's face facts, Thomas is missing too many tackles. First try at the weekend, Andy Watson stood him up and skinned him. Ireland missed the cover sort of tackle on the fullback after Tompkins went too wide, and during the World Cup semi-final, the Lendy try won a match for South Africa. Thomas Williams was one of the ones who missed tackles on them. It's the same technique issue in all three cases as well, going a bit high. So I think Rhys Webb came on last weekend. He looks like he has lost a little bit of weight. We know how hard he's been working, and it's so difficult coming off the bench to find the rhythm of the game, the pace for it. You know, you're trying to get your second wind and how much you warmed up or whatever.
Yeah.
But as soon as he got on that pace of that game, you know, he was back to his old self, and he was such a catalyst for Wales in the past. Lions Test reserve, Scrum-half. He's just really good player. He makes things happen. What I like about him, he's looking all the time. He plays heads-up rugby, and he knows exactly what he's doing, and the other lads really play off him as well. So, you know, I think he could have if he starts this game on Saturday, I would expect Webb to have a massive impact.
Yeah, okay, yeah, strong argument there. A couple of questions there. Steve, very much maybe on the Andy Howell train, saying get the youngsters in, let's look to the future, apart from that spine, of course. Owen Ozzy Jones says a new defence coach is needed, never mind the players. That's maybe for another show, another day, perhaps. Yeah. Finishing up with the pack, then you've got a relatively similar pack, certainly in terms of the back five. You've got a difference with your props, though.
Yeah.
Talk us through your selection at prop.
So we'll start with the loose head. I've gone for Rhys Carey. I know you've gone Rob Evans. I just think we've seen Rhys Carey in the last year as sort of an impact player, haven't we? I think it's time to really get a look at him in the starting jersey. I'm going to get slaughtered for this now, throwing the youngsters in.
No, you're not.
But yeah, I just think you know, it's time we saw Rhys Carey given a starting job. You know, he was up yesterday in well, he's in the written section. I think it's embargoed, so I can't really mention any. But you know, he's talking about looking to get a start in job, and
Trust me, I've seen this one set, and it's not worth reading.
It's fine. It won't appear anywhere. But you know, he's talking about how far he thinks he's off a starting job, and I just think maybe, you know, obviously Wyn Jones hasn't really kicked on from the World Cup, and obviously he's got that hip thing. Rob Evans has sort of built himself up from the disappointment of missing out on the World Cup, but then he's still not quite where he is. I think it's just time to give Rhys Carey a go in the jersey, because, you know, clearly there is some player there. Warren Gatland identified it, made him lose a shed of weight to sort of get him to that player, and now I just think let's take the next step, because why not? Well, that's where you come in, Andy, and tell me I'm wrong.
No,
Well, how do you think Rob Evans did? You know, because obviously he was the big shock omission from the World Cup squad, and he's had to kind of bide his time under pivot. Comes back in against England. How did he do?
he was all right. That's all.
6 out of 10, was he?
6, 5 possibly, because Wales' biggest fault line is the scrum. The scrum is not up to it. Simple as. I don't care what anyone says. The scrum is not up to it.
Yeah, and is that why at number 3 you've gone for Will Griff?
That's why I've gone for Will Griff John. And some people say, well, all he ever does is anchor the scrum, can't run around the pitch. But to be honest, I'm not interested with Wales now about a tight head prop running around the pitch. I want him to anchor the scrum, because that's the most important job of a tight head of a prop, or particularly a tight head prop, was the cornerstone of the scrum. So even if you've got to carry, I prefer to carry Will Griff John in the loose than you know, having to carry a prop in the scrum.
Yeah.
If you like, because the problem is at the scrum, you give a penalty away, you can be pressing in the opposition half straight away. That's a get out of jail card for them. They escape their territory. Or if you give a penalty away near the halfway line, just in their half, they're in your 22 of them. They kick towards the corner, and it's you under pressure. All you need, we've seen it this season, and I think it was out in Ireland, 2 piggyback penalties, one in the Ireland 22, and then another one after the at the next scrum, and suddenly Ireland were putting pressure on and scoring a try. So Wales have got to show that scrum up. Dylan Lewis, great lad, good prospect and all, but as soon as England turned that forward power on at the weekend, he just turned straight in. You know, he could not get us space. Liam Brown, he obviously injured a shoulder as well. Dylan injured an ankle. We actually don't really know if both of them will be fit, despite what was said. So I wouldn't expect Liam Brown to be fit. I've seen, he played in with one arm for virtually 20 minutes. So, but also, before he even got injured, He's had a bigger stuff in at the scrum than Dylan Lewis against England, so his scrummage is not up to international level yet, and I don't think you can
it's a strong argument there. So why wouldn't you go for Will Griff, John, based on what Andy said there briefly?
I just don't think he's in contention to be involved at Test rugby at this moment in time. I think Wales don't think he's anywhere near the required level of fitness to play Test rugby. That's the impression we seem to be getting from camp.
Yeah.
And so I don't think he's in contention to start. I take Andy's points on board, and if Andy's willing to carry a proper round simply for scrummaging, at the minute I don't think Wales are, because that seems to be the message coming from camp, is that he's not fit enough.
Okay, fair enough. Just to finish up on the team then, you've gone for the same back rows between the two of you.
Yeah, we both got to change there, haven't we?
But you both dropped Ross Moriarty, is that correct? Just tell me quickly why.
Because I think with Faletau number 8, I think it's a better balance back row for Navidi then at 6, and Tiptrich at 7 outstanding last week. I think he got really good balance then, which it frees Tiptrich up a bit. Would have got Navidi doing our work over the ball, good blindside chopping the opposition down, and I think that will give as well his presence. It will give Faletau more opportunity to do a bit more on the ball. And I was surprised they dropped him for the England game, because even though I was critical of his selection at the start of the Six Nations, I think he has got more match fit as the tournament has gone forward.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Let's have a couple of comments then before we wind up. Andrew on Facebook saying, I'm a Scarlets fan, but I have to admit that Owen Watkin and Nick Tompkins should be starting in the centre, he says. Matthew says, I think it's a crime that Callan Sheedy is not taking part. Why he's not getting capped is a crime. Lots of crimes there, but
a lot of crimes.
Popular player with a lot of people at the minute. Let's finish up.
Capped which country?
Well, yeah, that's the big question.
We don't know who he wants to play for.
Let's finish up with this one from Michael then, who says, has Dan Biggar finally proved this Six Nations that he has plenty to offer for Wales for plenty more seasons to come? You've always been a bit negative about Dan Biggar. You said Wales can't. He has.
Andy Howell negative. Come on.
Well, you've always thought, he's,
Dan's a great player. He'll always give 100%. He's an absolute winner. You saw his bravery last weekend, how he's tackling he was doing, put his body online, had a really good game. But despite that, he is a bit of a limited player at international level.
You still think that, even though this form he's been in with Northampton? And
Yeah, I do, because I like an outside half who can really challenge the defence and find a way through it. That's why Wales did so well last season, because they had Gareth Anscombe could beat people. Now, with Biggar, yes, he can run a bit, but he's never going to run 50 metres and score a try. Because Biggar, the defence don't really mark him up so much. They mark in the centre, so they got less time on the ball because they concentrated on them. If you've got a running outside half or a running scrum half, that you are fixing defenders all the time, which frees up more space out wide.
okay.
But there again, Webb is a foil for Biggar now, because Webb is, when he set up that fantastic try with that great break in the final minutes of this, he spots those gaps and he can go through them. So perhaps Webb can do that job. I think they're a good combination, Webb and Biggar, as they were at the Ospreys. So yeah, I would, that's why I stuck with Biggar for this weekend. But that's going forward. Wales will probably look at Anscombe when he's fit again.
I can see you think Andy's wrong, but we're running out of time, so we'll be very quick.
I disagree with the question. I don't think Biggar had to prove that he's fit to stick around for the next few years. I think he's Wales' number 10. He can take the ball to the line. He's playing some of the best rugby of his life, and he is an attacking threat. And as you say, I think all three scrum halves in this squad are good foils for him, because they're all sniping scrum halves. I think we've seen when Wales tend to play with a scrum half who doesn't snipe, say an Aled Davis with Dan Biggar, things get a bit slow. But when you've got a sniping scrum half and you've got options off him, as we've seen in some of these games, he's a world-class fly half.
Okay, and one word answers to this one from Martin, just because it's popped up. Is there a reason to panic if we lose on Saturday?
Yes.
I've largely been in the boat, so no. Let's not panic yet.
Okay, no panic. Thank you, chaps. We'll leave it there for today. Thank you once again for all your comments and questions. We'll be back again tomorrow after the team announcement, which is at noon. We'll see you then. Take care.